The woman who trusted me with her secrets had no idea I would fall for her husband. I was only the housekeeper. Until one night, one choice turned my quiet life into a slow, burning punishment I can never escape. My name is Claire Hayes, and for 6 years I had lived in a silence pressed against the walls of my small apartment like a ghost. My husband died in a car accident on a rain-slick highway, and since then my world had grown smaller. Half-spoken sentences, empty rooms, and nights where even breathing felt like labor. Becoming Hannah's housekeeper was supposed to be a step toward normal life. I would clean, cook, wash clothes, manage small things. Nothing emotional, nothing heavy. But Hannah pulled me into her world with the kind of warmth I had forgotten humans could offer. "Claire, you're family," she would say every Sunday morning while sipping her coffee. "I can't imagine running this house without you." The words meant more than she ever knew. One rainy afternoon, the door opened with an unfamiliar heaviness. When Hannah walked in, something in her movements made my stomach tighten. She wasn't limping, but she moved like someone afraid of pain. "Are you all right?" I asked, stepping closer. She sank onto the couch with visible effort. From across the room, I saw her red eyes, the slight shake in her hands, the exhaustion that went deeper than work. "I'm fine," she whispered, but her voice was too brittle to believe. I made tea and sat across from her waiting. Hannah always needed a moment before letting her guard down. But today, as soon as I touched her hand, her whole body trembled. "Claire," she whispered, "every time Ethan and I try to be intimate, I'm in pain, real pain. I keep hoping it'll get better, but it doesn't. I dread it. I dread him touching me. I don't want to feel this way about my own husband." Tears spilled down her cheeks. I moved to sit beside her and pulled her gently into my arms. She cried like someone cracking open after months of holding everything in. "I feel broken," she sobbed, "like something's wrong with me." "There is nothing wrong with you," I said firmly. But as I held her, something dark and unexpected rose within me. Not desire, not yet, but curiosity. A question I hated myself for even thinking. What is happening between them that causes this? And why did the thought stir something buried inside me? "I'll help you," I whispered, and I meant it. I just didn't know the cost. That evening, after Hannah locked herself in the bedroom early, I remained in the dim kitchen, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator. My phone lay on the counter. Ethan's name glowed on the screen. I stared at it for a long time before pressing call. "Claire?" His voice was tight, cautious. "Is Hannah okay?" "She's hurting," I said. "She feels broken. She thinks she's failing you." "I'm failing her," he murmured, voice rough. "Every time I try to be close to her, she tenses up. I don't know what to do anymore." He sounded devastated, like a man losing something he didn't know how to hold on to. "Maybe I can help," I heard myself say. The words came out before my conscience could stop them. The next afternoon, Ethan came home early. Hannah was still at the clinic. The house felt heavier than usual, as if holding its breath. We sat at opposite ends of the dining table. "I don't want to hurt her," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "She deserves better." "She does," I agreed. "But she also deserves understanding, and so do you." He looked up at me with eyes that held too much guilt. "What are you suggesting, Claire?" My heart hammered. This was the moment to step back, but Hannah's sobs echoed in my memory. My own loneliness pulsed like a bruise. "I'm older," I said, carefully. "I've been through marriage. I understand how these things work, physically, emotionally. Maybe I could help you figure out what overwhelms her if I understand the situation more closely." Silence fell heavy between us. "Claire," he whispered, "what you're implying is wrong. I know. I know exactly how it sounds, but Hannah is drowning in shame, and you're drowning in guilt. Maybe the only way to help is to understand what's going wrong." He closed his eyes. "She trusts you." I said she trusts me to help her. He shook his head, torn between morality and desperation. "This isn't who I am." "Me neither," I whispered. But here we are. The moment that followed wasn't passionate or reckless. It was slow, trembling, filled with guilt even before anything happened. A collision of loneliness and misdirected good intentions. And when the line was finally crossed, we both felt the weight of it immediately. "What have we done?" Ethan whispered. "Something we can never undo," I replied. And I felt the first spark of a fire I wouldn't be able to put out. Life didn't return to normal. It pretended to. I still came to the house. I still cooked dinner. I still folded laundry. But now, every ordinary task felt like a crime scene. Whenever Ethan walked past me, our eyes stumbled awkwardly. Whenever Hannah hugged me, whispering, "Thank you for listening," guilt clamped around my throat. Then came his message. "Do you think what happened helped her at all?" My pulse jumped. "I don't know, but I can't stop thinking about it." His answer came fast. "Neither can I." That was the first lie we told ourselves. We called our meetings consultations, a harmless word, a way of avoiding calling it what it was, an emotional entanglement disguised as problem solving. "Can we talk? There's something I need to understand." Just one more time to make sense of things. Every meeting began with guilt. Every meeting ended with betrayal. His loneliness blurred into mine. My hunger for connection blurred into his desperation for clarity. We were two wounded people trying to fix something, but choosing the wrong tool. One night, after a particularly emotional conversation, Ethan said, "This has to be the last time." I said, "You said that before." He pressed his palms to his eyes. "Every time I'm with Hannah, I think about you, and every time I'm with you, I think about her. I'm tearing the three of us apart." I felt something inside me fracture. "Then stop coming," I whispered. I tried. "Try harder for her." He reached for my hand, gripping it tightly. "You understand me, Claire. You see me. I haven't felt that in years." Tears burned behind my eyes. "And what about me?" I asked. "You and Hannah were the only people I had left. Now I'm the secret that could destroy both of you." He let go. "We need to stop." We didn't. His name was Mark Daniels, a man from my past, reappearing just when everything was unraveling. We ran into each other at a grocery store. He smiled in that gentle way he always had. "Claire, it's been forever." We shared coffee in the supermarket cafe. He asked about my life. I lied, carefully, selectively. But fate wasn't on my side. Days later, he saw Ethan's car outside my apartment. Not once, not twice, many times. That evening, he called. "Claire," he said, voice tense, "is that your boss's car outside your building?" I froze. I peeked through the slit in my curtain. Ethan's car sat too close, too familiar. "Yes," I whispered. "Is she married?" "Yes." Long silence. "Claire, tell me you're not involved with him." My throat tightened. "It's complicated." "Complicated?" he snapped. "That's what people say when they know they're doing something wrong but don't want to admit it." Tears welled. "Mark, please. Does his wife know he's spending this much time at your place?" "No." His voice dropped, low and sharp. "She trusts you. You work in her home. Do you have any idea what this would do to her?" "I know," I cried. "You don't have to tell me. I live with the guilt every second." "Then why keep doing it?" "Because I was lonely. Because he was kind. Because she cried in my arms and I wanted to fix it. And somewhere along the way, I lost control." His exhale was heavy. "If you don't end this, someone will get hurt." I went still. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that maybe she deserves to know." My stomach dropped. "Mark, no, you can't." "Then end it, Claire. End it now." I told Ethan everything that night. We sat in my small living room, the cheap lamp throwing weak light across his face, making the dark circles under his eyes look deeper. "Your old coworker saw my car?" he asked, jaw tight. "More than once," I said. "He's not stupid, Ethan. He knows something's wrong. And now he's asking himself how Hannah would feel if she knew." Ethan pressed his fingertips to his forehead, elbows on his knees. For a moment, he looked less like a husband and more like a man sitting before a judge waiting for a sentence. "He said he might tell her?" Ethan asked. "Yes," I whispered. "Unless I end this." He laughed bitterly. "We've said we'd end this a dozen times." "I know," I said, "but this time there's a countdown. We don't know when it will reach 0. He looked up at me, and the pain in his eyes made it hard to breathe. "What are you saying, Claire? That we walk away from each other and pretend none of this happened?" I swallowed hard. "I'm saying," I forced out, "we walk away or we burn everything." Silence. It was the kind of silence that feels like the world tilting just enough to throw you off balance. "I can't lose her," he said finally, voice breaking. "No matter how wrong this is, no matter how much I've messed up, I love my wife. She's the one person who believed in me when no one else did. I can't watch her life fall apart because of my weakness. And I can't be the reason she loses both her husband and her housekeeper in one day. She trusts me. God, she trusts me so much it hurts." We looked at each other, both of us fighting tears. "This is the end, isn't it?" he whispered. It has to be. For her. His shoulders slumped, as if someone had cut the strings holding him up. "What about us?" he asked, the question trembling in the air. "There is no us," I said, even as my heart screamed the opposite. There never was. There was only a wound we both tried to fill with the wrong kind of medicine. He stood slowly, every movement heavy. "I'm sorry, Claire," he murmured. "Me too." He walked to the door. His hand rested on the knob, hesitating. He didn't look back when he left. The click of the door closing sounded like a verdict. Months passed. Hannah slowly healed. Ethan grew gentler, more patient. Their marriage, imperfect but sincere, began to mend. Hannah eventually told me, "Claire, I think it's time you start living your own life again. You've given us so much, maybe too much." She didn't know the truth, but she felt the earthquake under the floorboards. I left quietly. I worked at a bookstore cafe, surrounded by the soft comfort of pages and strangers' voices. And one cloudy afternoon, as I crossed the street with groceries in my hand, I saw him. Ethan. He looked up. Our eyes met. Everything we had been, every mistake, every longing, every guilt passed between us in one silent heartbeat. He gave me a small, distant nod. I returned it, and we walked away in opposite directions. We ended the affair. But endings aren't clean. Love doesn't vanish just because it becomes impossible. Sometimes it lingers quietly, like smoke trapped in the walls after a fire. And sometimes when I pass couples holding hands, I feel a small ache, a reminder of the man I should never have touched, and the woman who trusted me completely. A love we weren't meant to survive. A guilt I will carry for years. A story that still burns, even after the last goodbye. Hannah and Ethan seemed to heal in their own imperfect way. She laughed more. He stayed close, attentive, present. Their marriage wasn't magically fixed, but they were trying, honestly trying, without me as a silent fracture running through the center of things. I kept working for them a while longer, pretending nothing had changed. Then, one morning, Hannah took my hands in hers. "Claire," she said, her eyes warm, "you've done more for me than any therapist or relative ever has. You've listened, you've supported, you've never judged me for the things I'm ashamed of. But I've been thinking, maybe it's time you live your own life again. You're too smart, too kind to spend your days scrubbing other people's floors forever." I knew it wasn't about the floors. She didn't know about the affair, but she sensed something. A distance, a shift, a tremor beneath the foundation of our day-to-day routine. "I'll always be grateful for you," she continued. "You're part of our story now, but I have a feeling you're meant for something more than this house." I smiled, blinking away tears. Maybe you're right. We hugged for a long time. I left their home a few weeks later, not in anger, not in scandal, just quietly. I found a small job at a bookstore cafe in another neighborhood. The pay was modest, but the work was soft and steady. Books don't judge, coffee doesn't ask questions. Customers come and go, and no one expects you to hold their secrets. One cloudy afternoon, 6 months after our last goodbye, I left the shop with a bag of groceries in my hand. I turned the corner and almost dropped it. Ethan was there, across the street, standing at a crosswalk, hands in his jacket pockets, eyes on the traffic light. My heart stumbled. As if sensing my gaze, he looked up. Our eyes met. Time stilled. The sound of cars, of footsteps, of the city itself faded into a dull blur. There he was. No longer my employer, no longer my secret, no longer my mistake to repeat. Just a man I had loved in the wrong way, at the wrong time. His face held the same mixture of exhaustion and warmth, guilt and gratitude. In his eyes, I saw the echo of nights we could never admit, conversations we could never repeat, and a love we'd buried alive in the name of someone else's happiness. He didn't smile, neither did I. We just stood there, two people on opposite sides of a street, separated by a white painted line, and all the choices we'd made. The light turned green. People moved. The world resumed. He gave me a small nod, respectful, distant, acknowledging everything and nothing at once. I nodded back. We walked away in opposite directions. I went home to my quiet apartment. He went home to his wife. Our forbidden love was over, but love doesn't vanish just because you lock it away. It lingers, like smoke in the walls after a fire, like warmth in a bed long after the person has gone. I chose my loneliness, this time, not as a punishment, but as a shield. For Hannah, for Ethan, for the part of myself that still believed I could be better than the worst thing I'd done. And somewhere in Seattle, under the same gray sky, I knew there was another heart that would always carry the same secret flame. A love we should never have touched. A guilt we would never fully escape. A story that burned in silence, long after the last goodbye.